Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. Welcome new subscribers. Before I forget, I found a truckload of comments held for review this morning. So I've been through them. So I have responded to you. It might be 2 months too late, but I found you. So I just thought it's part of the idiosyncrasies of YouTube. I've no idea why it holds some comments, so I play the game. Welcome back. Now, there's something quite specific I'd like to speak to, and I have permission from 2 of my clients to speak to this with 2 stories which are in the field at the moment. So the first story is the story of a 13-year-old boy who was playing football for his team and who did an illegal tackle. The consequence of this illegal tackle was that he got booted off the football team. And even now, I have so many words I want to speak to this field with that I'm almost blocked, and that's significant. The second story from another equally amazing client is about the experience of systemic abuse as a boy at school, which has resulted in my squashed masculine. Okay. So I'm not going to go into any detail, obviously, because I'm maintaining client privilege here and protecting anonymity, but can you see the theme? 12, 13 is such an initiatic age. 13, 4 is the feminine into the masculine. It's a number of tension and conflict as the blueprint finds form and structure in that 4. And where was there permission for that 13-year-old football playing boy to get it wrong, to learn how to harness big loud transmission coming in, to learn how to harness his fire? And so this fire has been in the field. I have worked with this child fire 3 specific times this week. And one of the times I was speaking into it, and I was speaking through my inner child, and I was asking, where is there room for the inner child to go, Mummy, I'm learning how to harness my fire and I set fire to the curtains. Mummy, help, I set fire to the curtains. And that switch point there, where parent comes in, it can be a mother or a father, where parent comes in and either imposes parental limitations, moves to punishment, and penalizes the child for learning how to harness their fire and setting the curtains alight, or a healthier expression of parent that comes in and says, what was that like for you? What was that like, that moment where you got it and then you lost it? How can you do that better next time? What would you do differently next time? P.S. help me with this jug of water while we put the curtains out. So that's an exploring, supporting, that's a healthy masculine. What can you do? That's active, masculine principle. That's the healthy parent, the elevated parent. The systemic abuse as a schoolboy and what happened to the inner masculine of that boy that couldn't fight, that had their will taken away, loss of control. And these 2 very specific stories speak to a broader collective. If I've heard these stories once, I've heard them 1,000 times in 15 years as a practitioner. And so, without any ado, I want to read into these, but what they're leading me into is some channeling I did with Saturn. So I went to meet Saturn the other day because I want to start, well, I've started already, been doing it for a while, is to take astrology up into the galactic field, beyond the paradigms, beyond the structure of Saturn being a this or being a that. And in the same way as I went to meet Lilith, I experienced her in a way that didn't fit her archaic paradigms, labels, boxes, containers. She showed me a whole other side. And so in the same way, I tuned in with Saturn the other day, and there's a few words. I'm just going to read these out to you. Yeah, it's interesting. I did this Saturn channeling on the 2nd of the 2nd, so 2/2/2023. Is an 11/2. Look at all those twos. So really, really sensing that full field. So tuning into Saturn, it was a gentle but powerful energy. And the first thing I was given was the organizing principle of water into ice. Ice, okay. And then I went to Saturn's rings. And then I was given the words fixing ice into rings. Water into ice and ice into rings. And then I went to NASA to learn the science behind Saturn. And it blew me away because we can see 2 or 3 of the rings of Saturn, but there are actually 7 main rings. And the width of the rings alone, from edge to edge, would not fit the distance between the Earth and the Moon. Okay, so what that's telling me is there are visible rings, so there might be visible wounding, and there are invisible rings, invisible organizing principle of water into ice, where I've frozen my emotions. On March the 7th, Saturn moves out of Aquarius into Pisces. And I said, I think a couple of weeks ago, I'm finding this energy interesting already because it could revolutionize the spiritual business. And so because Saturn is giving me ice, what I'm becoming curious about is the ice now starting to melt? Yes, it's wounded child, but it's the masculine that's coming through. It's the wounded little boy that hasn't been supported. Get rid of those notes. And I was immediately drawn to my wonderful, gorgeous, gorgeous book. Okay, so that you can see it. The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse by Charlie Mackenzie. And I randomly opened it at a page. What's your best discovery? Asked the mole. That I'm enough as I am, said the boy. That I'm enough as I am, said the boy. Okay, so I've pulled a few cards. And the first card out, should have checked the astrology actually. Is Jupiter still in Aries? I think Jupiter is in Aries. Doesn't matter, but I've got Aries coming through. This is like the preparation for Aries season and the raising of that masculine fire. And that's okay, and that's great, because we're going to be beginning to manifest all of the work that we've done in the clearing process of the last 3 years. And it's going to trigger the ice of the frozen masculine. And so Jupiter is bringing in an abundance to echo that I'm enough. I'm enough, and I was always enough. And it's coming in literally with the first house of Aries. And what I got with this card was phrased as question, where am I king of my castle? As the masculine. Because this 36-9 is kind of enough, you're done. You've come to the end of the program. We have to transcend. We have to transcend that formation of a principle. Where am I king of my castle, said the little boy. And what does mummy tell me about that? And what does daddy tell me about that? So look at this. So we have the first house of Aries and the 12th house of Pisces. Saturn moving into Pisces. So if we go archaic, that might be Saturn as the father moving into Pisces. It doesn't feel, when I connected with the energy, it didn't feel all patriarchal and shit. It felt warm and masculine and safe, gentle, but strong. It was a very affirming energy. Okay, so let's speak to this. Let's speak to this. Where am I going? Oh, I think this is called the Love Tarot. All my decks are in the description box with my contact details. It's like what I'm seeing is a little boy playing football in the street and looking forward I'm wanting to just look forward, but preoccupied with looking over his shoulder for what's about to judge him. It's that kind of energy. It's like it's a shady little fear. What if? It's that kind of energy. And these cards are pouring out. Yeah. Wow. I mean, off the bottom of the deck, the underlying energy. If you imagine a little boy as a dreamer, and the archetypal energy that might come in to squash that. So a little boy that's in touch with his sensitivity, his femininity, his softness and his sweetness and his heart and his love and his kindness. Underlying joy. Something's happening in my right ear. Underlying joy, but withdrawal. The conflict of that 5 is the withdrawal of that joyful. We're talking about the divine solar child, masculine, fire, solar. So they are the underlying energies coming into, look at this, wow, that is absolutely stunning energy. It's so powerful. The harmonization of the elevated masculine, the divine masculine, acceptance of self, and the right to fight for that masculine fire in a healthy way. without having to get into shame and guilt or a pissing competition. And I'm seeing strands of DNA coding coming in here. And we've got this kind of base meeting the third eye, is pulling that divine energy right into the foundation. I think I said, did I, on the last video, what emotions have I poured into my foundation? So I think that's what's being recoded at the moment, is the divine solar masculine. And more cards. What I see in this is the past, present, and future all coming together in a stable structure. It's like reweaving the tree of life. That is literally new codings coming in. This is tower energy, priestess energy. It's weaving in. So it's me building my own tree. It's that little boy building his own tree with his ancient wisdom and his love, his softness and sensitivity, and his connection to earth, to build stability on his terms, not according to some parental paradigm or teachers that think they're parents. I'm going to put that over the abundance card, an abundance of stability. And don't get me wrong, that, you know, when I talk about new codings coming in, they come in with a choice, and the choice is resistance or acceptance and flow. Because big picture, if we're talking Saturn and ice rings into Pisces, then we're talking about the melting of the iceberg, and for Pisces to become a manifester, to move into to move her energy into masculine manifestation, there might be some ice in that Pisces. It's interesting. It's very interesting. Oh, God. I'm pausing, bear with me. So I'm getting the Titanic here, and a rare and random conversation I had about the Titanic yesterday. And after that conversation, I sat quietly and did the numerology for Titanic. And then that connected me into all sorts of energies. And that's where I got the words pissing competition. Because Titanic was just created from ego. At no point, it seems, in its design was the passenger put first. The passenger's safety was not put first in the design. The design was toxic masculine. It was a pissing competition, and it cost thousands of people their life. So I got there from the iceberg. It's the iceberg that's melting, and you know, had that ship been able to turn just that little bit faster, history would be completely different. Yeah, okay. There's so much going in with this card. I get speaking the truth here, to speak the truth and to stop bowing to a system of abuse that wants to be honored or bowed to or cowed to, where greatness meets smallness, you know. I mean, if we talk about greatness meeting smallness, and we look at this image, that horse has the power to kill that little boy, and look at this, the power of grace and humility. And I've seen that in the work that I used to do with soldiers in groups, that when they bring that nobility and their power of grace and humility, the transmuting, healing, rebirthing that happens is so potent. So the 10 of Trees really wants us to, I guess, get difficult. I mean, it looks beautiful and peaceful. That's not the energy I'm getting. It's like, well, just say it. Just say it. What would you say to the teacher that threw the boy out of his own football team? It might not look as pretty as that. Where am I going to put that? I'm putting that in the middle. No, I'm putting that over 12th house. That's where it wants to go. 12th house introspection is loyalty to the truth. Right, this energy is, it's almost like they are scars. It's almost like this is her wounding, and she's carrying this mother energy, and she's taking me in to find the inner mother. Because we heal our inner child by going back in as parent, as adult parent, to love and hold and heal in the way that we craved as we were children. And this is giving me that powerful mother energy that kind of says, yeah, we've all got woundings. Go back in, come back in, find me. Which is literally supported by the star card. That's the cleansing of the emotional waters. That's Aquarius. It's raising the star. Okay, so this is all getting a bit lovely and light. I don't want to drift off into unicorn. And so, because it's going to be somehow triggering, big triggering, little triggering, gentle tower moments, big aha moments, depends where you are on your path. And so if we go to the 12th house, Pisces as the 12th house, and the question of loyalty, and we pull a healing card. Explore your ancestry, coming in on the 13th. It's the feminine 13, the 13th cycles, mother energy. Oh, lovely. So Saturn is giving me its ice rings, and the tree is giving me its age rings for the ancestry. It's to follow that lineage, to go back and heal that wound. Because wounds have a way of making us puppets. They operate under the surface, making choices for us that in our wide awake, holding my fire and my love and my passion and my water and my ether, we might not make, we might not choose for ourselves. And so unconscious ancestral patterns can operate hidden in plain sight and turn us into puppets, while we're just dancing to the same old tune, expecting a different outcome because it might be a bit scary to challenge the status quo. Yeah, I think we're coming in for some deep soul work. I do. I want to go to the messenger deck now. What more messages can we? What more messages are there for this reading? And if I were to ask you a question, yeah, absolutely. Oh, God, lovers. Then I might invite you to remember yesterday I was talking about bringing my ego in to work with it as an entity. I might invite you to bring your masculine in. I'm not particularly speaking to men or women here. I'm speaking to humans who all have a active masculine, passive feminine principle. The positive and the negative on the car battery, and the car will not start without both working. Who is your masculine? What is your masculine? How would you define it? Describe it? What is your relationship with it? Because the two support, so as I'm speaking into soul work coming up, the first one comes out is to be without malice, coming in on that masculine four structure where there is malice. There's so much malice. And there's going to be big lessons here for adults in how we raise our children as a giant village called Earth. How are we raising our children? How do we meet young people? And if we meet them in their shadow, if you skip back to the Boy Gabriel poem and that young rapper I met in a shop, and that's coming in with another 13, of course, and the moon. I might have to pause this a minute because I think we've got a Pisces moon coming up. Would you bear with me just for 2 minutes? I'll be back. Okay. So on Monday, February the 20th, this is UK time, there is a new moon in Pisces at 4 degrees. This 4 energy coming in. And another time I'll have a look at the charts for that. But this is all speaking to the Saturn moving into Pisces, Pisces moving into Aries, and how are we going to harness that fire from a young boy's point of view? How is the young boy in us, young masculine fire, going to express itself? So follow the moon. That moon could be really interesting looking at these cards. Okay, I'm not going to labor this. I just wanted to presence this little boy archetype who had his masculinity challenged badly or squashed. And so I'm going to wrap up with one of these, whatever they're called. I'm good at this, aren't I? Enchanted Forest, I think they're called. Yeah. Okay, it's coming. It's definitely coming. So moon again, magic. That's how we're going to do it, by using the elements in a different way and creating magic. It's coming in at 25/7, magic. Bear. 4. Yeah. And the bear doesn't always have to be fiery and ferocious and killy. Bear can be playful and strong. Bear can have authority. Beautiful expression of the masculine, big bear, healing. So I sense there is going to be some masculine healing coming onto the radar in alignment with Pisces taking us into Aries and Saturn moving into Pisces. That's it. I'm going to love you and leave you there. Thank you for being here. Please like, share, subscribe, and leave me a comment. I'll see you all again soon. Bye.